folks to really be intentional in our progressive solutions. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Jessica Helen Lopez, and she's a super duper poet. So Jessica is an adjunct instructor for the University of New Mexico, Chicana and Chicano Studies Department. She's a City of Albuquerque poet laureate, emeritus, and educator at NACA, Grade School, North American Community Academy, the Institute of American Indian Arts up in Santa Fe. She's the communications lead for NACA as well. Jessica has, she's hosted the Colores show on New Mexico PBS. She's award-winning poet laureate, incredible. She's been, I'm hoping that community publishing gets to publish her one of these days. She hasn't given us the privilege yet, but we will. But she's been published by several publishing houses, including Swimming with Elephants here. Shout out to Katrina Guarasho. I hope I pronounced her last name properly. And she has a new one coming out. Her 5th poetry collection is set for publication, UNM Press, in 2021. Pushcart Prize nominee. All of her accolades will be online here. And I just want to say hello, Jessica. Thank you for coming and accepting our invitation to SMARTalk.
Yeah, hola, Alex. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to hang out with you and all the good folks that are in the lineup for the community publishing event today. So muchas gracias and happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Every day is happy. I should shout out our fellow buddy, community guy, Carlos Contreras, with these two pieces behind me. I've upped the game in my studio here, Jessica. I've even fixed my hair for you. Once you told me you were fixing your hair, I needed to go and fix my hair. But anyway,
I combed my hair today just for you.
Awesome.
We have dueling art. You got Carlos Contreras' pieces, and I have Jesse Rain Littlebird.
Oh yes, and Jesse was just on
live events.
That is so cool. I love Jesse. He's an awesome dude. He was just on last week. This is also a podcast, Jessica. So Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast ways to get your favorite podcast, Google, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. And all of like I said, will be online for you to see, hear, and listen to. But I want to get to some of the awesome stuff that you're doing. Of course, we know you're also an awesome, that's a major thing. You're an awesome mom. Your daughter is already, is she's still in high school? She's almost out of
No, she's a freshman at UNM. She's majoring in
Good for her, right.
Planning. Yeah, she just completed her first semester and she's looking for a job. So let me know, folks.
All right. Yeah. It's not a laughing matter, but a lot of people look at stuff. And some of the things that we're talking about here is how do we solve some of these problems that we have that are way before the epidemic, the pandemic, way before that, and there's systemic issues. So I want to jump into that, just to get rolling a little bit. Or, I'm sorry, let's start really quick with a quick bio, because I know there's so many things that you do, and I did not do you justice to that. Tell us how you came to poetry, and then you became an educator, fellow educator. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. I got into slam poetry in, I believe, 2005. By 2006, I had made my first slam team. Folks on that team were Hakeem Bellamy, which was our first poet laureate of Albuquerque, Lee Francis, the founder of Red Planet, an all indigenous graphic novel and comic book store doing revolutionary things. Damian Flores, a teacher and educator, published poet. Ken Rodriguez was our coach that year. And I really cut my teeth by working with some of the best spoken word artists in town. They are my brothers to this day. And because we were poets, sharing our work in coffee shops and bars when you could smoke in them. Back in the day, there were smoky bars, or
I remember that.
Or in these communal.
I barely remember.
Exactly. In all of these communal spaces, and it was just organic that I, eventually became an educator. I call myself a non-traditional educator. Even though I taught 6th grade for several years, I teach high school classes, I teach at a collegiate level, but it's all through the lens of spoken word and the written word, but with a focus on social justice issues,
Yeah, that's exactly why we invited you on.
Yeah, the idea of making change through verse, how can you use your art and wield it as, a tool for engaging your community, your community members and advocating for social issues that are really important to our livelihood. Not just the basic resources either, but like joy, happiness, the idea that we could walk out of our doors and not be shot by a militarized police. How do you do that? Through poetry, So there became, that was the beginning of my journey. And, beautiful opportunities arose throughout the years, and I've met amazing people. I continue to get to work with amazing people that are doing really good things, artists or not. But it goes hand in hand with one another for me, in any case.
It's kind of like a serendipitous thing. You kind of start falling into that, you fall into that social group of people that are doing similar things and all that stuff. And so when I made the dive from the 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, I started meeting wonderful people like you and tons of folks
Likewise.
with community things. And I was like, wow, there's a whole world out there. And the world that we create, not just as creators, but as intentional people who are trying to solve the problems. You and I are both parents. You and I are both teachers. So we work with youth all the time. And we know that it's time to be like really intentional. And it's time to really talk about issues and provide solutions. So Jessica, I have a little clip here I want to play, and let's listen to this really fast, and then you can put it into context for us. This is up in Santa Fe. Let's just go ahead and show that through the magic of the internet, as George Bush said a long time ago. That's before your time, Jessica. Hold on. Here we go.
Welcome, Jessica. I'm here to read a poem. But I want to tell you that I rolled in this morning with a van load of poets and musicians. In which you'll be hearing some of these young poets that's coming up to the microphone. And I have to say, the arts and poetry is truly an empowering tool for social justice. And we must always protect our art. This poem is for my daughter on the morning of the Women's March, a celebration poem for ourselves. Today we are a massive sky, a painted canvas of wet cloud and cyclical rain, frost, hot breath pluming like heaving volcanic ash. Shoulder to shoulder, we are here. Today, my daughter, you ran the comb through the long strands of your hair, and it became a river before my eyes. The black of it, a burning onyx. Your eyelashes fettered a spider's diaphanous touch, ready to weave our story. We are all perching on the mouth of this great chasm, a powerful taut and silver wire web, royal ladies of wild creatures. Let us be incandescent. Let us radiate in our power, palpitate with a common strength and bond. Let our hearts be of cedar and pine, the fecundity of the earth after the rain. Let it be sermon. Let it be song. Daughter, 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 you took flight from my bones, grew wings and were of me, and I of you. We who were born of cosmos and stardust, born with a light in our chest, a heated lung and lamp of the firmament, and she is I, and I am she, and they are all of me, and we are all of you, which is to say, we germinate as the seed does, golden kernel and sweet everlasting water. We the non-violent and unconditional love of the mother, the child, woven from the tapestry of stars. Today, daughter, we march on and on and on and on, shoulder to shoulder, million women strong. Que viva las mujeres! This warrior of this rising like a rose-colored dawn, near a holler and whistle, justicia, justicia, justicia! A smoldering flicker, ready to catch the flame.
That was awesome. That's so
Thanks.
powerful. So tell
I
us,
just relived that moment right now. That was
yeah,
great.
on the heels of
Thanks for
that
sharing that.
awesome, you're welcome. On that awesome piece right there, tell us how do you feel? What can poetry do to push us forward, beyond the
Yeah.
obvious?
Well, so check it out. That clip was from the Women's March in Santa Fe a few years ago. Not only was I a featured poet, I was an event coordinator. So it was my job to, work with a team of women and gender identified women and allies to put together, I think it was like a 3-hour event, complete with the march on the Capitol. And also to book the artists. We had a lot of young female or female identified artists on the lineup that you didn't see in that video. But, thanks for sharing that because it made me relive the moment. That was a moment of like rising in our power, celebrating our power as women, as voters, as folks who influence positive policy, folks that fight for reproductive health and justicia, and for all the issues that are pertaining to all of the BIPOC women of color and communities. And I think that's what a good story does.
That's
I think
wonderful.
Poem does.
You
provides information, but it should be also inspirational, right? The
well,
story.
that was quite inspirational. I
was feeling it, Alex. I was feeling it. Did you see my yellow maraca?
I almost got up and left myself. Jessica, because we're a little squeezed for time, we need to have you back on, but I want you to, did you want to still read that poem? I'm excited.
I would love to. It's a short poem and it speaks to the idea of bearing witness to the atrocities, that a lot of our relatives, our Black relatives endure and survive. And it's in honor and in celebration of the life of Breonna Taylor. And as you know, Breonna Taylor was gunned down in her sleep by plainclothes white policemen that entered her house and shot her multiple times. So here's this piece. It's called A Pantoum from Breonna, and it was inspired after Theater Recchi. So it's actually a pantoum. It's a form poem. Was she dreaming in the moments before she died, sleep-heavy memory pulse of the brain? And if she dreamt, was it of a rocking chair or a swing that swung in the air of her childhood? How in the terror of the battering ram did she wake, guns spitting bullets her way, and fuck a no-knock warrant, and fuck their mistake, muted rage of fear, ferocity, and foul play. And if she dreamt, was it of a rocking chair or a swing that swung in the air of her childhood? Did roses bloom like bullet holes from the body, vermilion and spilling onto the rug? Did she foretell in the dream images of her deep sleep that a violent squall neared her door? Did she wake to sleep and take her waking slow? Did roses bloom like bullet holes from the body, vermilion and spilling onto the rug? 8 shots ringing, 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 thrusting head first into the air, that dark spun night, and the blood and the blood and the blood and the blood and the bright petals of a turning rose. Did she feel her fate in what she feared, and did she take her waking slow? 8 shots ringing, 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 thrusting head first into the air, that dark spun night, and how I hope her last dream she dreamt was made of light. Crystal's stairwell to the unknown, and fuck a no-knock warrant, and fuck a suspect, and a fuck a white man's lament. How I hoped she dreamed of something sweet, something slow, something, something.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's all right. That was good timing. I was done.
Yeah, Jessica, thank you so much. That's so awesome. We're gonna have all of your links up online. That's such a beautiful, powerful poem. We look forward to talking to you again when you when you have your poetry book out, so you can read a few more. We're gonna go ahead and say goodbye. I know you've got some engagements. You're always busy. Say hello for the family for me, and I appreciate you so much. You keep up the fight. We'll have you back on. Adios.
Thanks, Alex. Love you lots. Gracias.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
I gotta thank Jessica for that. She read this original piece, and that is so wonderful and so powerful. And someone we definitely need to have back on the show. So we're gonna go ahead and say hello to our next guest, the incredible, wonderful state auditor for the state of New Mexico, Mr. Brian Colon. And we'll just take a brief pause, and then we'll bring him on. We'll walk to the green room and and go get Mr. Colon.
I'm bringing on artists
best of all mediums talk about progressive solutions to our most pressing social problems. I'm very intentional about that. We need to identify the community's needs, come up with some bold solutions, and take 2 steps forward and stop messing around. All right, everybody. Hello, Mr. Colon, Honorable Senor Colon. How are you this evening?
I am terrific, Alex. Great to be here with you on community publishing and
Yeah,
SMARTalk.
we're so excited to have you. And Brian, I know you're super busy. You're always doing some stuff, but I really had a great time with you all over at the Cafecito con Colon, and that was super awesome. And I also, once you're done with this state auditor stuff, I've got another job for you because you're incredible at these ads and voiceovers. And I want
Hey, anything I can
to.
do to work with the master Alex Paramo, I'm gonna do it. The answer is yes.
All right. Well, everybody, check this out and let me know what you think of Brian's skills as a voiceover gentleman.
It's another beautiful day in the land of enchantment, and it is Brian Colon, the state auditor of New Mexico, but also the host of Cafecito con Colon. Every day on Facebook Live, Monday through Saturday, bringing rays of sunshine and lifting up New Mexico with the good news going on in our state. I can't wait to be on Smart Talk with Alex on Friday night. It's an honor to be with him and can't wait to share some time and some rays of sunshine as we lift up New Mexico.
Well, wasn't that beautiful? That was awesome. And Brian, for our folks who don't know, you do your show mornings at 9 o'clock. All right, Brian, can you tell us about that real quick?
Yes, sir. We at the time the pandemic started, we decided we needed to do some things to lift up New Mexico, bring rays of sunshine, and really shine a spotlight on the good things that happen here in the land of enchantment, the Tierra del Encanto, as you know, the 47 star on the beautiful flag of the United States of America. So we, every morning at 9 o'clock, we do a Facebook Live event on my page, and that's from 9 to 10, and we do it every Monday through Saturday. Sunday's the only day off, and that's really
Wow.
only because we would have done it 7 days a week, and we started at 7 days a week. But you got to know that the faith-based community started using all the bandwidth in Albuquerque on Sundays, so I couldn't get a good
Wow.
line in. So we do it Monday through Saturday, and I've had some great guests like the incredible Alex Paramo of Community Publishing. He did a great job. He did a great job on Wednesday. You might know that guy.
Well, thanks so much, Brian. It was a pleasure being on there. And you and I talked offline a little bit about what we wanted to talk about here. And I really feel like everybody's gonna get sick of me saying intentional, but I really want us to be intentional. And you've always been a good brainstormer. What can let's talk about COVID for artists and the struggle there, and talk about a little bit of what you feel like the state's role is in not just ameliorating that, but I always talk about this ecosphere of arts where when things go back to normal, we want this to be a destination for artists. I know how much you love music and the arts here in New Mexico, and they're very unique here. What do you see the role as a state, someone who works for the state or in the state in general? What can they do to help? Maybe there's a plan underway to help spotlight the awesome artists in New Mexico. Talk to us a little bit about that. I know that's 2 questions, but.
No, that's all right. We can take this wherever you want. I will just say this, that we have been intentional about trying to support our entrepreneurs that actually work out of their homes. They do their side gigs, and they, in particular, the community that really lifts up New Mexico with their talent in terms of art and music. And in fact, some of those small business grants went to several New Mexico artists, and we were intentional about making sure that we had an application that allowed us to support those folks who were in most need. Look, the idea of people going to galleries and our museums and out to our restaurants, we have some amazing local restaurants that put up local art so that people can support our local artists. That stuff shut down. And so we knew that, and we said, we've got to find a way to be able to support our artists. So the state of New Mexico took some steps to make sure those grants were available. And I know several artists were able to get those. Of course, the deadline for all that passed. But let's take a look forward, Alex. And what I would say is exciting this week. and we'll continue this conversation. I'll always make sure that I provide a voice for this creative economy that we have in New Mexico, and that sits with our musicians, whether it's Baracutanga, who I know you and I are big fans of theirs, and or whether it's our great artists, whether they be Spanish colonial artists with the retablos and the bultos and the colchas and all the great artwork that we have that has 400 years worth of history in New Mexico, or even our contemporary artists. We need to make sure that we support that creative economy. And I don't know if you saw earlier today, but we rolled out part of the governor's budget, and the plan is to actually put out $25 million to increase tourism. Well, we can't do that if we're not spotlighting the incredible talent that we have here in New Mexico. It's not just about the presentation of our indigenous culture and the sandias and our skiing. It's a whole package.
Right.
It's about 400 years worth of history with our artists. It's about our indigenous population. It's about the 4 climates that you can get all at one time in New Mexico in a 3-hour drive. I mean,
That's true.
It's amazing. So if we're going to support and lift up that tourism sector, which is so important in New Mexico, we've got to make sure that we're supporting those mechanisms that serve that tourism sector. Right. And that is really our artists. And it's one of the things that we're known for. People come from all over the world to come to Indian market. They come from all over the world to come to Spanish market, folk, the folk market. Look, these are incredible, incredible things that New Mexico has to support our artist community and our creative economy. And frankly, we all had to move those online.
Yeah.
But you know what? Artists are the best at pivoting. I've seen, Carlos Contreras and so many of his colleagues. I think of many of the artists that I work with the Spanish Colonial Art Society, and a lot of them have taken their art forms online, and now they're doing demonstrations online. They're actually creating their pieces online on live streams, and so they've actually taken their art form to the next level and helped open up these windows to a whole new world. And it's just been beautiful. We've just got to support that. We've got to applaud that. We've got to affirm that activity and say, yes, we are going to support our local artists. And I've tried to do that personally and tried to encourage others to do the same.
And I do see you there, Brian. I do see at all the events, and I always say, I've been saying you're very authentic in your presentation online and being there physically. I've ran into several events. But Brian, let's. When we talk about the Indian market and the Santa Fe market and the rail yards market, those kinds of venues, I know for personally being part of the rail yards team in the past that the state did allocate some funds. Is that what you're talking about? Like, is the Indian market in Santa Fe and the Spanish market, does the state give grants? Are you talking about besides that?
No, I'm talking outside those normal venues.
Okay.
People like Sherry, I'm thinking of the Wells family and Delgado family, and some of our other artists were able to make application for the funding that was provided by the federal government. And then we used the state governments as pipelines. And it was a pass-through, and they had grants for those individuals that could show how they were impacted by the pandemic.
Do you see that continuing?
I don't know whether it's going to continue. I do know that there's a lot more conversation. The governor's budget has about $850 million in there to ameliorate some of the impact of COVID-19 in her $8 billion budget. But I don't know how much of that, frankly, is going to be allocated to small business grants or artists. But what we want to do is make sure that we're amplifying that message that, yes, those artists can't be left on the margins. As it was, and as it has been, the artists are always the last at the table when it comes to getting support, but they're always the first to the table when you ask them for help. If you've got a big event and you need some artwork for your silent auction, man, you've got artists falling over themselves to donate their work. So the shoe's on the other foot now. We got to make sure that we find venues and avenues to support them during this time.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The artists, musicians, they're always donating their time, as you know, Brian, and their efforts, and I feel like in New Mexico we're so uniquely positioned. It's another thing, Brian, you and I talked about. We both have New York roots. I know you're from the Bronx, so don't challenge me here to baseball, Mets versus Yankees.
I don't know that I can claim the roots because I didn't get to stay there long enough to get any roots.
Well,
I came to New Mexico as a baby, so I've known no other place than New Mexico. But it is true.
Definitely.
I was born in New York, and then my parents got out of there.
Yeah. No, I hear you. But what I'm saying is that, you know, New York, there's so many people that go over there, and, you know, some folks claim they're from New York, like this, that you go to New York to record, and, you know, this recording is coming out of New York. I feel like with Albuquerque, people come and really settle, the artists come and settle here and become part of the community in a real way. And then they contribute to the 400 years of Spanish history, the thousands of years of Native American history that my daughter's part of. Shout out to Marisol. And then we bring
Princess,
all the
hey, a shout out to Princess Marisol.
it's the Marisol, yeah. And so I feel like we were uniquely positioned, and you know, there's some cities that when you think about the music scene or the arts scene, you know, New Orleans for the great music and food. I feel like we can do that here in New Mexico, and hearing that you are also gung-ho about this approach to create this arts ecosphere. I think that's really bodes well for us. And I can say that your sincerity is greatly appreciated. And I feel like when you speak with the folks in government, let them know that you experience these things firsthand, and you know how much need there is out there. And I know there's awesome programs, and our governor is doing an awesome job in that respect. But let's try to keep that going even after the pandemic is over, so we can really create this ecosphere. Because when you think about Albuquerque, and take this from a guy who's not from here, right? Even though I love it here, everybody's really nice. But when you think of Albuquerque, you think of Breaking Bad, which, you know, it's entertaining, but I don't feel like it really represents Albuquerque and New Mexico and the Balloon Fiesta, which is beautiful for sure. But I feel like there's so much more. There's so much. There's Felix Peralta, Keith Sanchez, there's Sean Wells. There's all these amazing artists in northern New Mexico, southern New Mexico, Silver
I
City.
mean, think about it. We have a channel. You take a look at what Gonzalo did, and he's got the New Mexico Music Channel. It's an online app. You can just have New Mexico music all day long. You know, KUNM is putting it front and center. KANW has been playing it since I was a little kid. I mean, we've got enough musicians and talent in New Mexico that we have radio stations that all they do all day long is play New Mexico artists. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about the talent in New Mexico. So I couldn't agree more. We've got to make it a continued priority here in New Mexico to tell our story with our incredibly talented artists. And look, let me just say this. I want to give a shout out to the current leadership here in Albuquerque, at least. You know, I want to say I'm grateful that they've embraced, hey, there you go, one you know, I want to congratulate Mayor Keller and his administration for continuing to lift up our art community. You know, I've been working with Working Classroom for 20 years, so many other great, very local grassroots arts organizations, whether it's, you know, Harwood or some of the other great folks, you know, arts, that we're going to do some great stuff in Sawmill, but that's coming up. I just want to say that, you know, the idea that we have the capacity to be the mural capital in this country is a great idea. We've got murals all over the city of Albuquerque.
Yeah.
You know, I want to also say Jim Long, a long time ago, came to me with this idea, almost 20 years ago now, came and said, look, we've got to do an amplification of the cultural corridor, which means all the way from the north, all the way down to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and everything in between. And not all of New Mexico sits on I-25 and I-40, but the culture on that corridor is fascinating.
Yeah.
And we got to do everything we can to amplify that message and have our art shows down in Las Cruces and be promoting them up in Taos. And the reverse is true. You know, we used to just have Spanish Market in Santa Fe, and then we brought one down here to Albuquerque, and then we opened up one in Las Cruces to create that cultural corridor and increase the capacity of that cultural economy and that creative economy that is absolutely unique to the land of enchantment.
Definitely, and it's something that we started to, I feel like, with the governor and the mayor and yourself, to capitalize on it, and we need to continue it. And when I was at the rail yards, I used to think, and as a marketing director, we used to point our ads toward tourists, and when tourists would come and check out all the wonderful arts at the rail yards market, they'd be blown away. You know, the level of talent. Even if you buy like a small piece, this is a local artist here, this is Carlos Contreras, this piece is behind me, to a bigger piece, the talent level is incredible. So it really makes me happy, Brian. You made my Friday night.
Alex Panejo, Alex, look at my Baca beads. So these are often referred to as Navajo pearls, but Lawrence Baca, lawrencebaca.com, he is a master artist, as is qualified by the Spanish Colonial Art Society, and he is famous all over the world for his Baca beads, and they're
Wow.
beautiful. But just like your beautiful piece there, we've got to always, as often as we possibly can, support New Mexico artists. It is a part of our economy that is absolutely robust and often not celebrated enough. So let's lift up New Mexico by supporting our arts community and our local publishing, community publishing. Talk about a real powerhouse. You've done a great job of lifting up New Mexico's literary giants.
Well, thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that, and it's been a labor of passion. We are actually teaming up with the city for some more book collections for Martin Luther King Day. We'll be rolling that out, and also with the wonderful people at Red Planet. That's Lee Francis Jr. Who's
Dr. Lee Francis.
Doctor, excuse me. He's going to be on the show next Friday, so we're excited to have him. And I got the pleasure, Brian, of meeting his dad, who's a native wise man teacher who passed away, rest in peace. But his family is dynamic, and these are the kind of folks that I feel like I said, you made my Friday night because you're telling all our audience out here that New Mexico is committed more than ever to the arts. Spoken from Brian Colon, the state auditor. Cafecito con Colon is 9 a.m. every day. I didn't know you did it every day. Brian, you make me feel like a slacker over here on Fridays.
I'm just honored to be included. Talk about justicia, and you talk about a mujer that has got a voice that just resonates to your soul. Jessica was amazing, and she deserves to be our poet laureate emeritus. I mean, she is fantastic. I'm honored to share this episode with her. And I know you've got the third in your trifecta of guests tonight on this Martin Luther King's birthday. Martin Luther King's birthday is actually today. Let's not forget to celebrate on Monday.
That's a good point.
We've got great celebrations all over the state. 8 o'clock in the morning. We've got Grand Chapel AME is going to be having their great fiesta and celebration honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, folks go to Facebook, my page, Brian S. Colon. They can find a way to register for that free event. It'll be virtual, and all are welcome, Alex.
We'll get that out there too on our assets as well. And one thing I speak about to my students is that let's not forget that Dr. King stood up, of course, for civil rights, but he was also he fought hard on economic justice. Was a big thing, of course, in the anti-war. But economic justice, obviously, when he went down to Memphis, that's what he was speaking on. And so let's all remember that, and let's go to this event and support. Well, Brian, Cafecito con Colon is on your Facebook page, and the information about this virtual event is on your Facebook page. Brian, thank you so much for always, putting the best foot forward, New Mexico's best foot forward, always reaching out to folks and shining a light on them. I really appreciate that, Brian. You are truly authentic person. And
Alex, I'm just mirroring your behavior, my friend. You are a superstar, and I really am grateful for what you do. You're doing some beautiful things. I hope all your listeners and viewers know that you've got some great bilingual literature out there featuring and written by your hijita, the Princess Marisol, and she's an award winner. She's already an acclaimed artist. Check that out.
She won the award. Yeah, I got to get it on here, but she's busy being 14. But Brian, I know you have a lot of engagements, and we want to bring Ava del Cielo on. She's an awesome actor who's done her thing in LA, big movies, and she's here. This is where she's from, and she loves it here, and she's got a lot to say. Brian, please join us again in the future, and thank you so much. Have a nice Friday. Any closing thoughts?
No, Alex, I just want to affirm the work you're doing. I appreciate you so much. Community Publishing and SMARTalk, they're both powerful platforms where you lift up New Mexico on a regular basis. And I'm just grateful to know you. I'm always at your service. When you call, the answer is sí, señor.
Oh, thank you so much, Brian. Well, you take care and have a nice evening. Adios.
Adios.
All right. There's Mr. Brian Colon, who is doing so much. Please tune in every Monday through Saturday. These guys are hard worker. Tune in to Cafecito con Colon, and we're going to say goodbye to Brian now. Have a nice night, Brian. And so we have one more guest tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. and being here. It is Dr. King's actual birthday, and economic justice is something that, as a progressive, it really concerns me, the inequities that we're suffering in our country. And we're going to shift the gears a little bit here and talk with the one and only Eva del Cielo, and we're going to just take a quick break and talk to her here in a second. I'm bringing on artists of all mediums to talk about progressive solutions to our most pressing social problems. I'm very intentional about that. We need to identify the community's needs, come up with some bold solutions, and take 2 steps forward and stop messing around. Ava, no more messing around here. We've
No
messed
more
around too
messing
long.
around.
We're
Let's
this
get into it, my man.
been too liberal for too long. See, the video wants to play itself. And now it's time to be intentional. Ava del Cielo, I don't even know where to start. You are I'm sorry, you're from New Mexico. You've lived here for your whole life. You've went to LA. You made a name in acting. You came back. You're involved with so many different causes, and you're just a face out there that always promotes New Mexico wherever you are and whatever you do. And you're also, I've known you to be super duper authentic. And thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of the show, and I'm so happy that you're doing this for real. And Jessica killed it, fucking Brian killed it. Everybody did such a great job, and this is such a good platform. I'm so happy to be a part of it.
Jessica, I'm sorry, Ava, one of the things that I'm trying to do with this show is use folks like you, or leverage folks like you, actors, film industry folks, to shine a light on the wonderful things that we're doing in New Mexico. We're going to have some of the folks from the State Film Office on. We're going to have some of the folks from the City Film Office. We've already started some contact with some Michael J. White and some other folks. So the folks that film here will be doing, we'll of course talk about their project, but also talk about their experiences here in the land of enchantment. So what do you think of that idea?
I think it's great, man. I have just had such a wonderful opportunity to be from here and to love where I'm from and be able to be a part of such, wonderful projects, big projects, with big directors, and big actors, and to be a representative of where I'm from. You know what I mean? And tell them like, hey, this is what's going on over here. Or like, hey, did you know this about my city? Or like whatever, and just help people fall in love with where we're from. And people are doing it, man. People love it. And the people who don't love it, New Mexico doesn't choose them,
That's right. Well, Ava, since you brought that up, talk to us a little bit about your bio a little bit. Where were you born and all that good stuff?
Cool, man. Well, I am actually from Texaco, New Mexico. It is a very, very, very small town, one of the smallest towns in New Mexico. And yeah,
so cool.
Texaco, New Mexico, it's a real place. Nobody believes me, but it's a border place. And that's where I'm from. That's where my family, my family came from Mexico and from Texas. My great grandmother came from Texas, and my great grandfather came from San Luis Potosí, Mexico. And he did farming. He was in agriculture and stuff. And that's where my roots came from, as a Texaco, New Mexico. Yeah. Then I moved to Albuquerque. Acting or film industry was like a kind of a booming thing. And I remember I went to do an extras thing. My cousin wanted to do it actually. And I went with them. And then they were like, hey, do you want to be an extra too? And I was like, sure. And I kind of, I was on set, and then just from there, people were like, hey, well, can you do this? Can you say this? Can you whatever, And I'm like, you're going to pay me how much money to do what? Of course.
So Ava, that's cool. I did not know that you started as an extra and you started here. I was under the impression that you went out to LA and started your career out there, but you started here.
Yeah, dude, I started here. And actually, it's when I moved to LA, they were like, wow, like how were you able to be a part of so many great things?
Mhm.
And I was like, well, you know, New Mexico is like kind of like an uncharted territory a little bit, as far as actors go. Now it's a little different. I keep, when I go on auditions, I see more and more new faces, and I see people from Colorado or from
Yeah.
whatever who they have, you know, they're trying to get in on our little nest egg that we have out here. But yeah, New
Tell the
Mexico is,
people from Colorado we got better chile over here.
oh, Colorado needs to get with it, and I don't care.
Ava, I'm going to show you a reel over here real quick, and then you can talk to us a little bit about how it was to be on these movies and be a person of color on these movies as well. So let's check it out real quick.
Mira, you're not supposed to park here. Please don't hurt her, Mr. Gecko.
Now, if nobody else says anything to hide, this should go pretty quick.
Thanks. I am pushing it.
Don't start that mission without me.
Hey, which one is that?
Hi, Miles Daly, please.
Can I ask who's calling?
It's his wife. He left his cell phone at the house earlier. Probably thinks he lost it.
Oh no, he just left.
Oh, do you know where he's headed? I was supposed to meet him for lunch later.
He has a meeting at MGM.
Oh, yes, that's right. You wouldn't happen to have the address, would you?
Oh my god, that's so great. Gracias por su ayuda con mis papeles.
She says thank you for all your help with her paperwork.
Of course. Hey, Maddie.
Friends are somewhere getting wasted. Hope they're staying glued together.
I got you, honey. I'm not gonna leave you. No, look at me. We are not going to die. Hand me the baby. It's okay. You're gonna be all right. He's got her.
Get on board. We gotta go right now.
Afternoon, Miss Noonan. Is that your liquor order? Perfect timing on my part. It's just what I wanted to talk to you about.
Answer's the same as always. Not interested.
But you do know that Taish is the fastest growing
Oh,
liquor.
I don't doubt it. I've heard all about your growth tactics. I don't do business like that.
Well, maybe you should.
Is that a threat, honey?
No, ma'am. Just a fact. The, Noonan issue at the El Madrid has failed to provide effective results using our standard methods.
Most unfortunate. Perhaps more severe methods are required.
All right. That was quite the reel there. You're on Independence Day and some other awesome movies. Get Shorty, my goodness. Talk to us about your experience over there and what that felt like. And also that question I asked you earlier about being a person of color on set to some of these major films.
I mean, I think as far as being a person of color in film right now is actually really, really, really helpful. You know, people want to see diversity, you know, and a lot of my Anglo actors that I'm talking to, they're having a hard time, you know, and I mean, it's not, I'm not going to say it's kind of hard to feel sorry for them or anything, but it's like, I'm happy, you know, I'm happy that it's our time right now. Especially if you want to be an actor in New Mexico, because we have a lot of Westerns being filmed out here. We have, you know, if they're filming out here, they're wanting that kind of a look. And I think that's what actually, you know, kind of helped me. in this industry, and help me grow my resume. So when I was out in Los Angeles, they were like, "Oh, this girl's doing things," and help me get the agents and managers and all these things that I have. But yeah, it was wild. I've always wanted to do film. I always wanted to be an actor, but it's like something that you don't think belongs to you. I feel like, especially like in, New Mexico, we're made to feel like we're forgotten people.
Right.
We're made to feel like we're employees, we're whatever, and this is our fate, and we shouldn't dream for anything bigger than that, which is not true by any means, and so I was really happy to kind of fall into this world and have a place in it. And everybody that I met, was really encouraging. They were like, "No, you could do this." Fellow actors. I used to be a stand-in actress, which is basically you're the actress. You basically go in before the actor comes on, and they adjust lights and they do all these things, so the scene is ready for the actor. And I did that for this TV show called The Night Shift. And I ended up becoming really good friends with a lot of the cast there. And the actress that I was a stand-in for, she would ask me to help her run lines. So I would go to her apartment and I would read lines with her, so she was ready for the next day. And she was really encouraging. She was like, you could do this. You could be an actor. And so it took a lot of me kind of washing away that thing that I don't deserve this because I'm a brown person from New Mexico. It took me being in different scenarios and different environments where I was like, no, I'm the shit in New Mexico and I'm the shit everywhere else too. And like really believing that,
Yeah.
because it's true, because we have a culture and a pride that's our own. And so when you go to other places, they're like, "What is that thing? You're not like everybody else. What is that?" And it's appealing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, it's really unique, like I was talking about with Brian, and I was kind of pushing him a little bit to get the state to even past this pandemic to really put some funds, put some energy behind uh, creating this arts ecosphere here
Mhm.
for folks like you and for folks like in the music industry. And Ava, this. Oh, and I would be remiss not to mention your singing skills.
Yeah.
You super
I was just
duper
with
awesome.
Dials before this. We're making new music.
Yeah, well, I got to get Dials on here as well as a local business. And I love Dials and all the stuff he does, and he travels to Cuba. He's so passionate about the music, so we're going to bring him on here. But you're also multifaceted. But to have a real, when you have a civic, when you have the state behind you and the city behind you in a real way, not just lip
Mhm.
service, it makes a difference. And we're way beyond time that happens, and that's what we're going to pick up after this break. We're going to take a quick little break here, and then we're going to pick up on the Ava marching down the streets, hollering.
I'm down, dude. I got a lot to say about that. So let's
Let's
take
do
this break and let's.
something for our
Yeah.
community in a truly progressive way. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're going to talk to Ava a little bit more. And yeah, take it from there.
Dios must be a gift from God. Oh, how I've never felt so alive. Cuando miro por allá es nuestra ciudad donde nació. Quien yo por allá es donde tomó el agua, es donde nació el Yo soy hijo de tu que yo soy.
right, all right. We're back here with Eva del Cielo, and we are discussing her acting career and her involvement in the community, her musical talents and abilities. But now I feel like we're going to get to know the Eva that I know after a few cocktails at the local watering hole. The Eva that talks about what can we do, what should we do. Ava, let's think about the role of an artist, or not the role, but what can an artist do to really promote change in a real way? I'm not talking about liberal steps back and forth, just putting it out there like LeBron James is an athlete, but he's out there and he puts his reputation on the line. What do you see as a parallel? What can you do? What can we do as artists?
Um, I feel like it's just really kind of bringing together the community and like making everybody feel empowered. I was actually just talking about this a little bit earlier today, and I feel like all we need as people is just to feel important, and I was saying earlier, especially like being from New Mexico, we're forgotten a lot. People don't even acknowledge us as a state,
Mm,
and things happen here but they're like, who cares? It's New Mexico. They don't matter, and that mentality is spread a lot. People feel like they don't matter. And that's why, we have gangs, that's why we have dependency problems. That's why we have suicide. That's why we have all of these things, because people don't feel important. But it's because the world that we're in isn't necessarily serving us. New Mexico is a very unique place where we're not like the rest of the world. We're not a metropolitan city, nor do we have to be. You know what I mean? We come from agriculture, we come from art, we come from, indigenous practices, and that's us. And if I could do anything, it would be to, you know, be able to support small businesses, not even just artists, but any small business who wants to start a dream. Like we will stand in line if a new cheesecake factory opens, but we won't, support other little small businesses. So I wish that there could be like a cap on like chain restaurants or chain things opening. And I wish there was more money put into people to start small business, to grow their ideas, because not only is that, helping the direct local economy, but it's helping people feel empowered and
right.
important in their dreams, and who doesn't want to support that? Especially if, we don't have like a third, fourth, fifth Chili's, you know what I mean? If we don't
Right.
have whatever, you know what I mean? And people want to do it. They want to do it all the time. I see the support in coffee shops all the time. I see the support in breweries, but let's expand on those businesses. There's somebody who wants to open this whatever thing up. And I've driven up and down Central, from downtown to Nob Hill. There's all these vacant buildings, and
Right.
it's depressing. And that affects our spirit. You know what I mean? It makes us feel depressed. So why not have somebody with an idea be in those empty spaces? What are we losing?
I agree with you, and I encountered that when I was helping a little bit with Mariposa Music, was helping with Art Walk, and we were trying to talk to some of the folks who own the developers and I don't even know if a developer is the right word. Some of these folks are just super rich and have this building there, and it's a tax write-off, if you want me to be sincere, and they're not fixing it up. And I know with Carlos Contreras and folks in the city, Eric with economic development, they tried, they really did try, but we need to flip that script for people and their mentality. And it's like, you've got this piece of property. If you don't want to do anything in it, you can actually make more money with it by promoting local, by letting some local folks go in there and do some stuff. And I feel like I agree with you 100%. We have to kind of get people to realize the benefits in local and in supporting local. And same thing, I feel like with the Netflix and Universal Studios. And what role do you think those kind of folks can play a more active role here in New Mexico in terms of our social ills?
Yeah, so like I get asked that question a lot, like people are like, how do you think that's actually going to affect the local economy?
Mm.
And there's a lot of people out here, they're like, you know what, that's not going to affect us at all. It's going to, still go to like all these LA people. And I spoke with a producer friend of mine. He was one of the producers on Independence Day, and he's produced tons of great movies like, Harold and Kumar and like Freaks and all these different things. And he's a good friend of mine. And I asked him, I was like, hey, so um, Netflix is, opening up space here in New Mexico. Does that affect people out here? Like, are we actually going to see any benefit from that? And he said, absolutely. As far as above the line workers go, as far as writers and directors go, probably not. That's probably still going to have to go through like an LA funnel. But as far as crew go and as far as actors go, yes, it's going to help us out a lot. Because if you think about it from a producer standpoint, the person who's like, dividing up and spending all the money, are you going to want to hire an LA actress where you're going to have to find them a place to live for 3 months, find them a car, find them all these things? Or are you just going to hire a local person already there? Money wise, it makes sense to like just hire local. And that's for crew, that's for cast, that's for all the below the line people. So I definitely think it's totally going to help us.
Now that you mentioned the line, I thought there was something in the deal that was made by, and we can ask the city film people this next week, but where there was I don't know if a guarantee is too strong of a word, but there was an expectation that they would be hiring more above the line people in Albuquerque and in New Mexico. Are you familiar with that? Is that something that's going on, or?
No, but that was something that last time I talked about, that was like a discussion kind of a thing happening. And if that's the case, that's amazing. New Mexico has been like, well, not always, but lately we've been better at like, being like film industry is a real thing out here. And we're going to be very specific with like tax write-offs for people who film here and hire local, these kinds of things. So the fact that that's going to be a thing, if somebody's like, okay, cool, you guys could set up shop here, but there has to be so many people a part of like above the line work, that's dope. That's amazing, because people will do it, because literally you could film anything here. Our geography is so diverse, you could
Yeah.
film anything here. And all the tax write-offs and all these things and all hardworking people, artistic people, beautiful landscapes, it's going to be a thing here, and so if we're hiring and letting opportunity for like above the line people, for people who want to write and direct, that's fucking brilliant.
We'll have to have you come back on and let us know if I was just blowing steam or it's a real thing. We're gonna play a little clip right here that you're probably surprised that I'm gonna play, but it's a piece about authenticity, and let's check it out. Let's check it out.
No, no, no. You don't love me, and I know now. No, no, no. You don't love me, yes, I know now. 'Cause you left me, baby, and
That was very, very awesome, wonderful job. Was how long ago was that?
Oh man, I think that was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was super awesome. So you do some modeling and dancing. So what can we expect from you 2021? What's going on? Talk to us. Are you going to head out to, well, obviously we've got the COVID stuff, but are we heading out to LA at all? Are we going to do?
Yeah, the COVID stuff is like pretty strange with things, but I mean, if I'm not able to like, work on other people's projects, then I think 2021 I'm making my own, what I mean. But I think I actually, when I was checking this email to join the Zoom, I think I actually just got another audition. So I think I might be picking back
All
up again.
right, that's exciting. You know, you're so talented, Ava, but you at the same time you never ever forget your roots, and
No.
you know, never ever forget. So that's why people get weird with me because they're like, "You've been in New Mexico for 16 years," but I don't consider myself a New Mexican. I love it here. I love everybody here. My daughter is 1,000 years New Mexican, but I'm a New Yorker, right? You understand that,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're from here, and you represent it so well. And I'd
Well, and
love
I
to have
appreciate
you
you
back on.
saying that too, because a lot of people will live here and they're like, I'm from here. And it's like, you have a lot of respect for those that are actually from here.
Exactly, right? I always
I
tell
get
you.
you, man. Thank you.
My favorite thing is when I run into fellow New Yorkers who try to, like, you know, make it like New York and brush me and all that stuff. I said, look, we in Russia, not here. Take that back to New York or reverse.
Exactly. Well, hey,
So,
New Mexico adopts people all the time, man, and New Mexico shows off for the ones that New Mexico wants to show off for. I firmly believe in that. So New Mexico wants you to be here. It's been showing off for you, and you've been doing good things back for it and to it. So like, you're a New Mexican. You're
uh,
invited to the cookout.
thank you so much. I know I miss all the cookouts. I miss all the good times. Say hi to your family for me. Say hi to everybody. Thank you so much, Ava. We're gonna have you back on as soon as you let us know what the next project is. And what about music? What's going on with Dialed? I know you hinted at that really quick.
Hey man, we just recorded a new song before I met up with you, and that's another plan for 2021. Is me and Giles are getting back together. We want to do some community stuff. We want to do some after-school programs. We've been toying around with this idea called the All Minds Project, that nourishes all minds. You know, so not just necessarily the people that are textbook smart, but the people who are smart in agriculture, in music, and arts and stuff. So that's what 2021 is going to bring for sure. A lot, a lot more me and Dials, a lot more soul tech, a lot more,
Soul
yeah, a
Tech,
lot more
what's
new
up?
projects.
I love Soul Tech. You
Dude,
guys
we're
are
so
awesome.
excited.
We had some
Please,
good
and we're
time.
gonna need you, Alex. Book those events, man. Set
Yes,
up that
you know,
lineup. We'll be there, dude.
no, seriously, every single time you guys are pro. I love
Don't you
Dials.
miss it? Don't
I
you
know.
miss it so much?
It's so sad. I was just
I
talking
know.
to, I was just talking to the boys at review. Everybody's itching to get started again, but I feel like, this pause, I think, should have allowed everyone to kind of contemplate and think about how we can be more intentional. And Ava, I'm really trying with community publishing to diversify the media landscape, to bring more folks like you on, folks from all over. We're publishing a book. We published a poetry book from a feminist studies professor at UNM. She's from India, East India. And so we're just trying to do that. Thank you so much for coming on. Super duper honored. And yeah, let us know when you're back on the big screen.
Yeah,
Or
man, for
or
sure.
the big stage. We hope to see you on the stage as well.
For sure. Both and, my man. So yeah, let me know whenever you want me on and I'll be here.
Keep up the good work, for sure.
You too.
Adios. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Ava del Cielo.
I've never been much of a flag waver, but as a Latino, I think it's really important that we diversify the media. And that's the reason I'm bringing on folks from underrepresented communities so we can hear their perspective. And diversity of socioeconomics is important as well. All these voices need to be heard in order to make more informed decisions about the direction of our country and our world.
All right. Yes. Diversity, intentional inclusion. We should all be thinking about those things in 2021. And how do we do that in a real way? How do we solve these issues? We have all these issues that are really ingrained in our society. Watching the folks storm the Capitol, it's only been a little over a week that happened. Holding on tight every day when our president, hoping that our president doesn't destroy the country. It's not funny. It's just one of those nervous laughs. And definitely, focusing now toward the new administration and pushing them to be more progressive so that we can really see change in a real way, not just lip service. And thank you so much for joining me on Smart Talk and being here. Thank you so much to my guests, Ava del Cielo. Thank you to Brian Colon, the state auditor, and of course, Jessica Helen Lopez. Support independent media, support what we're doing here, communitypublishing.org. You can subscribe for free. It's really easy. There's no charge to subscribe, and all you get is content from local artists, from regional artists. You get blogs, you get books, you get all kind of stuff. We have a books on sale at communitypublishing.org. We've worked with so many folks, and we've got some new books rolling out this year as well. And so we're excited about those. Kia's Cupcakes, another children's book that emphasizes diversity. We've got, of course, the Native American Church. It's an anthology of the Native American Church history. And so lots of things going on. So if you subscribe, you'll be privy to all that stuff. And once again, this is also a podcast. So on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Anchor FM, and listen to this podcast on Spotify as well. And so we will see you next week on Smart Talk. Thank you so much. Have a safe evening and a nice weekend. And let's keep our mind on Dr. King's lessons of social justice. Economic justice is so important today in these days, and we really need to address those. And those concerns and those issues will lead us to a better future if we handle the economic stuff, economic justice. Well, everybody, have a good night, and we'll see you next Friday, where our guests include Lee Francis with Red Planet. We'll also have the City of Albuquerque, Karen Criswell. She's a film liaison, and plenty of other guests planned in the future. Have a good night.
Makers regarding progressive solutions to You're listening to Smart Talk, conversations with filmmakers regarding progressive solutions to society's most pressing problems.